Sena Jeter Naslund. Sena Jeter Naslund served as Kentucky's Poet Laureate for 2005 and 2006. She is the co-founder and program director of the Spalding University Brief Residency Master of Fine Arts in Writing. She is the recipient of the Harper Lee Award and the Southeastern Library Association Fiction Award. And she is editor of the Louisville Review and the Fleur-de-Lis Press. She is author of the novels Ahab's Wife, Four Spirits, The Animal Way to Love, Sherlock in Love, Abundance, a novel of Marie Antoinette, Adam and Eve, a novel, and 2 collections of short stories, Ice Skating at the North Pole and The Disobedience of Water. Her most recent book, Adam and Eve, a novel, was published by HarperCollins. Sena, would you please come forward?
Thank you. I want to begin by thanking Maureen Moorhead for her recent service as Poet Laureate and congratulating Frank Walker. I'm especially proud of Frank because he is a graduate of the Spalding University MFA in Writing program. I'm reading to you today from a novel published in 2003 titled Four Spirits. It's a novel about the civil rights movement as I experienced it in Birmingham, Alabama. The title Four Spirits refers to the 4 girls killed in the racist church bombing in Birmingham. At the time I wrote this book, I had never heard of Barack Obama, but I had a confidence in our country that things were changing. And I even had a prophecy, which I put in through the mouth of a school teacher in Birmingham, Alabama. The selection I'm reading is from the point of view of someone who has grown up in Birmingham and is reflecting on his experience there as a child. I loved school from the get-go and still remember some of the lessons I learned. Only Mississippi paid its teachers less than Alabama did, but my teachers were wonderful people, and I remember their dedication with great gratitude. I remember when my teacher, Miss Smith, put change in my hands and said, "Money is counted in pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and halves." And I shook them all together in my cupped hands, and they made a joyful noise. Once Miss Smith wrote a word on the blackboard, paste, and she said, "It's for mouths, or more exactly for teeth, but it cleans your breath as well as your teeth. Toothpaste." I found it delicious as ice cream, but not cold. It was to be spit out, which I thought a shame. Probably using her own money to make the purchase, Miss Smith gave each of us a tube of toothpaste and a toothbrush. When I took them home, Mama said I must share my brush with my sister, and I gladly did. And another day, Miss Smith said, "There is a story about each one of you." And she printed my story on the blackboard for everybody to read. Skeet is 7 years old. Skeet has a mother, a father, 1 sister, and 2 baby brothers. His real name is not Skeet. It is Edmund Powers. At lunchtime, I whispered to Miss Smith, "I was in the protest. I want to write about that someday." "You can," she said. "Someday you can, and tell your grandchildren, too." Then her eyes filled with tears and she hugged me. Her voice changed. "I was proud of you." "Don't cry, Miss Smith." I stopped eating my paper cup of chocolate ice cream. I stared at the little wooden paddle that came with the cup and felt something change inside myself. It was my spirit growing toward the future. She said, "I was too scared I'd lose my job if I joined in." She took out the tissue she always kept tucked in her belt to wipe her tears. I could feel her tears wanting to flow. I said, "I sure am glad you're here to teach me," and smiled at her. How did I know enough to say that? I think it was because she was kind to me, and her kindness elevated me to a new level of maturity. For a moment, she drew me up to her level of understanding, how we must all encourage one another. I wondered if she had been at the funeral after the church bombing. I didn't. I hadn't seen her. That day, I viewed my first film clip in first grade. Miss Smith said, "You'll see the President of the United States and his family. Do not talk when I turn out the lights. Do not leave your seats. Do not laugh or cut up in the dark." And there he came, projected onto the wall, walking and talking, with beautiful white teeth that were surely just brushed with toothpaste, and crisp, thick hair, a little bit like mine, tossing a little boy up into the air. When the lights were on, Miss Smith said, "It is possible in this day and age, in your lifetime, Edmund Powers, and all of you, for a Negro to become President of the United States." That was a hard time, the fall of 1963. But even then, kids were going to school and getting inspiration and ambition from their teachers.